Okay, we're up to Yud Zayin Amid Aleph at the top. Yud Zayin Amid Aleph at the top. Let's go through what we've been discussing till now. It's a lot of Chazor. We're in the sugya of Chanina Sagana Kahanim. We got into the sugya of Tumis Mashka, where the Tumis Mashka is the Rabban and the Araisa, right? And even if it's the Araisa, right, there's a machloikis whether it can go ahead and be mitama other kelim. Maybe only it itself can be mitama, but it can't be mitama something else. So we had a Chagai came back and he tested the kahanim. He tested the kahanim. What happened? He took a sheretz. He touched a pot. The pot touched some. It touched some food. The food touched yayin, touched shemen. Okay, and they asked him, "Is the tameh? It's a revius the tumah, right? The sheretz is an av. The nisid is a rishon. The yayin is a shlishi, and the shemen is a revi." He asked him, "Is it tameh?" He said, "No." So Rav said they blew it. Rav said they blew it. And so what was the kasha we asked on Rav? The chayr you see over here that it can transmit tumah. Rav said that tumas mashkin, there's no tumah at all. They're machlokes. Shmuel said it can become tummy, but it can't transmit. And Rav says it doesn't become tummy at all. Here we see shemen and yayin do become tummy. So what did we answer? We answered when Yosef ben Yoezer, who said that there's no tumas mashkin and tumas space mit b'chaya. There's a difference between mit b'chaya with a tes and mid b'chaya with a dalet. Mid b'chaya with a dalet means mizbeach. The dalet in Aramaic, guys, is it changes with a zayin. For example, zohav in Aramaic is zohav. Zahav is Aramaic for gold, and mid b'chaya is Aramaic for mizbeach. Mizbechaya. On mizbeach, you had shemen from the menachos, and you had the yayin from the nesachim. So he said that tak is tummy. Tumis b'chaya, the butcher shop, the blood of the korban, and the water to wash down. That tak is not. That's what Yosef ben Yoezer said. But the tumis mid b'chaya, the tumis, the yayin and the shemen in mid b'chaya, that in fact would be tummy. That in fact will be tummy. That's what we ended off with yesterday. And now Gufa, we're going to go ahead and analyze it by itself. Gufa, 3 lines down, Yud Zayin Amid Aleph. Rav Omar Ishtabish Kahane, that the Kahanim, when they got the probo, when they got the test from Chagai, they blew it. He asked them, "Is a reveal l'tumah tameh?" And they said, "No, it's tar," and they blew it. Shmuel Omar lo Ishtabish Kahane. The Shmuel says the Kahanim passed the test. So again, an analyzation, very important to know, guys. Right? What's the case? The zav touched the food, touched the yayin, touched the shemen, right? That was the order of things, right? Good. Now, Rav Amr Ishtabish Kahane, Revi B'Kodesh Boy Minayu. They asked them about Revi B'Kodesh. The 4th level of Tumah by Kodshim would be Matama. The Amulo, they said Tahar, it's Tahar. They blew it. Ushmul Amar Shmuel says Lo Yishtabis. Shmuel said they didn't blow it. What was the question? Kahane, Lo Yishtabish Kahane, Chamishi B'Kodesh Boy Minayu. They didn't ask a 4, they asked a 5. And what did they answer? Tahar, because by Kodshim a 5 doesn't do it. Now the question is, how'd you get to a 5, guys? Sheretz is what? What's the sheretz? An av. The cooked food it touched is a rishon. The yayin it touched and a shemen is a. So where'd you get the chamishi? Right? Where'd you get the chamishi from? That's the Gemara's against the kasha. Says the Gemara. But so Hani chamishi kodesh b'minayu v'amalei tahar. That bishleim arrived hainu d'chsiv arba lechem unizid yayin v'shemen. Okay, that the sheretz touched the lechem is a rishon. I kept on saying a pot. The lechem is a rishon. The nizid is a sheni. The yayin is a shlishi, and the shemen is a revi. El Shmuel chamisha minale. Where do you know chamisha? Where's the chamisha? Mikasiv. For the Gemara. And for the Gemara, Mikasiv and Nagoy Knafai. Does it say they touched the sheretz directly? The Naga big Knafai. Add one more step, guys. The sheretz, which is what a av, touched his clothing, which is a rishon, touched the lechem, made it a sheni, touched the yayin, made it a shlishi, and the cooked food, shlishi, yayin revi, v'shem and a chamishi. So there's no chamish by kachim. Tahar. That's what he asked. That's Tahar. Does anyone know where is Chamishi?
Yeah.
Paraduma.
What?
Paraduma.
Paradum is correct.
According to Rabbi Kiva.
Paradum is correct. They special chumrah. That's the Rabbanon Paraduma. They made an extra chumrah of Paraduma. Okay, but by Kachim not. Okay, by Kachim not. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Okay, so therefore, Machlokes Rav and Shmuel, whether they blew it or not. Now there's another pasuk going on, right? Tashma, Vayom Chagai. Chagai said, "Im yiga tame nefesh b'chol leila." Now let's go ahead and substitute instead of a sheretz touching. What happens if you say tame mace touches? Would there be a difference? So in other words, they're both an av. A sheretz is an av and tame mace is an av. The mace itself is an avia voice. Anyone who touches the mace is an av.
Mace is avia voice.
Tame mace.
No, the actual mace.
But what is tame mace? Tame mace means someone who touches a mace. So
Yeah,
he asked them the same thing. Yeah.
The sword in the mace is avia voice also, no? If it's a piece of metal in the mace, that's also avia voice, no?
Not only avia voice, but even your tame mace you touch it, it's an av. The ner, why do you have to go? We're in a sugya now that the ner touched an avatuma. So the ner, since it's made of metal, is an avatuma, right? Again, that's cherev hariyukachol. That's cherev hariyukachol. Anyway, so we have him Shmuel blow. I'm saying the Kahanim blew and Shmuel now. He continues to go ahead and test the Kahanim, and again, just for substituting a mace for sheretz. So what's the case? Vayom Chagai, im yigat tamei nefesh b'chol eileh, within this the lechem, the nizid, the shemen, v'yayin, ki tamei. Would it be tamei? Vayanu hakahanim vayomru yitma. Itaka would be tamei. Now, is this the same Revi, correct? Right. Again, you're substituting one thing, the starting tumah. Instead of the starting tumah being a sheretz, what's the starting tumah? Tamei mace. And you're going down the line, and they said, the Kahanim said yitma. So it's like Shmuel, it makes sense. Like Rabbi Shver guys, right? Shmuel said, what did they ask him? Chamishi. Chamishi is tahar. But what's a revi? It's tamei. But according to Rav, they asked him a revi, correct? And they blew it. So how come over here, all of a sudden, how can Rav say they blew it when they asked him the same shaila by mace? They said it's tamei. They said it's tamei. So Bishleim of the Shmuel midahach tabish, when they didn't blow it, when they got it correct by the mace, Hasamnami by the sheretz leish tabish. El Rav like Rav maishna hacha dish tabish maishna hasam leish tabish. It's like they asked him Tyler sheretz, blew it. They asked him the same shiloh at mace, got it right. Why? What's the difference? They're both avos, guys. Both a tamei mace and the sheretz are avos. And one is you're telling me that it cut him. They said he blew it by the sheretz, and here they got it right. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Ravua, b'kiyin hoya b'tumis mace, ve'ein b'kiyin hoya b'tumis sheretz. They were experts in tumis mace. They were not experts what in tumis sheretz. So therefore, by mace they got it right, and by enochinami, they got it wrong. What by? They got it wrong by sheretz. Again, they weren't like two retired for so many years. They were in bubble all this time, right? I guess mace. Again, if you ask any kid, you know what the biggest mace, the biggest tum is mace. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that, right? Everyone knows that. Yeah. So I'm losing everybody. Where's everyone going? Where's everyone leaving? I said something. What? No, I'm saying no. You're here, Baruch Hashem. Okay, anyway. Ravina Omar, says Ravina, Hasam, over there by Sheretz Revi, Hacha, by here the mace Shlishi. Ravina gives a very geschmack at Teretz, guys. Listen what he says. Listen what he answers. By Sheretz, right? Sheretz, Lechem, Nizid, Yayin, right? You blew it. You went down the line, you went through Revi, and they blew it. What happens if you started off with a mace itself, not tamei mace, but a mace itself. So now, mace is avi voice, right? Mace would be avi voice. The lechem would be an av. The nizid would be a rishon. The shemen would be a sheni, and the yayin would be a shlishi. They got it right. It's one. You upped it one level, guys. You upped it. In other words, in the Hava meter, the kasha was an av and an av, a sheretz and a tamei mace, meaning someone who touched the mace. But if it was like Hesh, you thought initially that it was. Well, you've been around. You wrote this stuff. Now, but when you have the avia voice, the starting point is a granddaddy. So watch. Go through. Do the math. Do the math. You're starting off with the avia voice. The what touched it first? The lechem touches it first, right? And the lechem now is what a nav, and then it's going to touch what a nizid, and then it's a rishon, and then it's going to touch the yayin. It's a sheni. Then it's a shemen. It's a shlishi. You got it. So that's it says Avina. That's the difference between what the ratio where they blew it and the sefer where they didn't. So two terutzim. One teretz is the Kiyam to the mace, and the other one the mace itself. Toshma, Vaita, Vayan Chagav Yomer, Kein Om Azeh, V'chein Agoy Azeh, L'fanai Num Hashem, V'chein Kol Maaseh Yedehem, V'asher Yakrivu Shom Tamehu. Whatever you do is Tameh. Now Bishleim L'Rav Hainan D'Chsiv Tameh. Bishleim L'Rav, very good according to Rav, that who says they blew it. That's why they say the Maisa is Tameh, right? They blew it. El Shmuel and my Tameh. According to Shmuel, that they didn't blow it. Well, why is it Tameh? It says the Gemara, Tameh. It says, here's what you have to read the Gemara. El Shmuel and my Tameh. It's Muye Kametama. You have to read it as what? As they're praising the Kahanim. They're praising, look at Rashi, the first white line. After you're such experts in Tumah, how is it possible to call Maaseh Yedayim a Tameh? So they're praising the Kahanim. Now, Bishlam the Rabbi it says so too. V'chein kol Maaseh Yedayim mashma that it's not a lashon of tema. V'chein it's mashma that this is talking the way it is, not a lashon of redundancy. Since their actions were mekalko, it's considered as if they mamish did it with Tumah. Rashi says, in the future, it was misnave, sheyakalko masayim b'baysheni b'shara vevis. Right? In other words, there was a time like, how could it be? And they're thinking about the future, what's going to be. Gufa. Again, Gufa means, guys, we're always going back to go ahead and analyze something that we brought in previously. Yes. Does Tumis mace have an oil? What do you mean?
I'm saying like you can make everything into a rishon.
What do you mean?
Anything which the mace is touching.
Anything the mace touches the rishon, right?
Right, and then the next one could also be it's in the oil, right?
If it's in the oil, then the one it's I don't understand.
What type of tumah is it? It's not
Tumis mace.
Right, I understand this. So I'm saying like
It's an avatoma.
Right, so I'm saying even if it's 3 steps later, it's still technically be step number 1.
If it's an oil.
But they didn't check it. It's mashma they passed it down, right? But hang in there. They're going to say something similar to that. But hang in there. Now, Gufa, Rav Tani Mashka Beis Mitbachaya. Rav said, as we learned, Yossi Ben Ye'ezah said that the liquids in the base Mitbachaya are tahar. That's what he said. Good. We had a machloikis between Rav and Shmuel. What that meant? Did it mean tar completely, or did it mean tar limitama other things? Now Rav Tani mashka beis midbechaya, the Levi Tani, and Levi learned mashka beis midbechaya of the mizbeach. So according to Levi, it comes out like this, guys. According to Rav, the only mashka in the Beis Hamikdash that would be tahar would be blood and water, because that's tumas of the butcher area. Mitbachai is the place where they would butcher the karanas. The Beis Midbachaya means the mizbeach. On the mizbeach, you had all 4. You had water, nisa chamayim, dam because of the zrika, Shemen because of the minachos, and Yayin because of the Nesachim, the libations that he threw down, right? So according to Levi, all liquids in the Beis Hamikdash were tahar. According to Rab, only what? Water and blood, but not Yayin v'Shemen. That was the top of the page, right? The Yayin v'Shemen. They checked them out. The Chagai checked them out with Yayin v'Shemen. So they must be tamei. They checked them out with Yayin v'Shemen. It must be tamei. So we have two machloikasin over here that you have to get a hold of. Let's get them clear, okay? Two machloikasin. One between Rav and Shmuel and one between Rav and Levi. Yosef ben Ye'ezah, they were made on yesterday's daf that Yosef ben Ye'ezah said two things. He said about the grasshopper of Kolai and Kamson, and he said al mashkin based with the chaya that it was tachan, that was tahar. So now Rav said, what would the Tana Yosef ben Ye'ezah mean? He said the blood, the liquids of the butcher are tahar. Except now, what would that mean? Not Yayin v'Shemen. Yayin v'Shemen will be tamei. The same words, however, according to Levi, is not based mit b'chai with a s. It's based mid b'chai with a dalet. A dalet in Aramaic is a zayin, mizbeach. So therefore, Levi is being matar everything. He's taking care of Yayin. He's taking care of Shemen. He's taking care of blood. He's taking care of water. Good. So according to Levi, it's like Rabbi Yosef ben Ye'ezah is saying a Gorah Kiddush. Now we have a second machlokes in Rav and Shmuel. When Rav says tahar, when it says tahar, it means it completely. Mashkin, that a mashkin is not matama. When a mashkin is not matama, what does it mean a mashkin is not matama? Not only is the mashka not matama something else, it itself is not tamei. Whereas Shmuel said no. Shmuel said it is tamei, but it can't be mitama. It can't transmit that tama. Two machlokes. All right, let's see what we got.
Obviously, when I'm a Hanukkah, the oil became tummy.
What?
The oil in the base became tummy.
So the kasher is, according to Levi, you got a big kasher, right? According to Levi. So according to Rav, it would be geshmak. Why? Because Rav, it's from the mizbeach. Rav said it could become tummy, right? Rav says from the mizbeach it could become tummy. Yeah. So Rav is not a shaila. According to Levi, who says that what that is, it's that all liquids has a possible to become tummy, right? Has a possible to become. Now you could say that it's not the mizbeach. You could say it's the ayin that oil was used for the oil menorah. That's not the mizbeach. So therefore, yeah, that's a good text. But again, no, but I'm saying his kasha. You could say the kasha is not a kasha. You could say, how do you know the oil was supposed to be used for the mizbeach? Maybe it's the oil that was used for the menorah. It's only oil from mizbeach that you get the head to for, not the oil for the menorah. Tumas based mid b'chaya the mizbeach. So therefore, yeah. Yeah, the biggest kasha I have is the following. This is a good kasha. It's a good kasha. I have a great terrace, but it's a good kasha. You all assume that you hear what the stories that you hear and you never think about it. They looked and they looked. It was all tamei till they found a jug with the chasima of the Kohen Gadol. Now, where did that come from? Now, why did oil have to have the chasima of a Kohen Gadol? Mehechet taste. He had a chasima of a Kohen Gadol. It brought the menorah. It was used for the menachos. Every mincha had the chasima for a Kohen Gadol, and it was for the mizbeach. Every jug had the chasima for a Kohen Gadol. What's
Pashas against tummy?
What?
Pashas against tummy. Just like yayin ness, you need the seal on the yayin, so it's not yayin ness. The shemen pashas against tummy. That's why you need the seal of the Kohen Gadol.
That might be a good pshat. Okay, so I think the pshat is I've seen it also, is that the Kohen Gadol used to bring every day a minchas chavitin. He would bring a korban mincha every day, half in the morning, half in the afternoon. Enzyme, they had unique oil. Since it was this unique korban, he had this unique oil. That's probably the pshat. That the Kohen had minchas chavitin. It's a good question for the Chanukah, right?
And it's shaman for the mizbeach.
What?
And it's shaman for the mizbeach.
Again, so that's his raya. That's his raya Keneged Levi. That's what Yankel's saying. Keneged Levi, it'd be a very good raya Keneged Levi.
That's how they knew that it was that the chassim of the Kohen Gadol was because
I thought he's dead. I thought that guy's dead.
Because
the Japanese guy's dead.
No, because it was had to be zach. He didn't need zach with chavitin, so they found the chassim of the Kohen Gadol. They knew that Kohen Gadol was market for his chavitin to use zach. Because chavitin doesn't help; it has to be zach for the menorah, right? And chavitin doesn't have to be zach. So they found this chasima. They knew that Kohen Gadol was makbet to use zach for his chavitim. Otherwise, why?
Weiter.
He's learning now.
Okay. I'm really sorry I took us off guard because the Gemara is very, very hard. I'm going back into the very hard Gemara. Okay, it's not okay, but guys, again, one more time. Two machlokesen. Rav and Levi, Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Levi, where did Yossi ben Yezer say is din? According to Rav butcher shop, according to Levi and Mizbeach. Good. Rav and Shmuel machlokes by what? By Tumas Mashka, Mashka of a Tumas Mashka. It says Rav Tumas Mashka is not at all. No Tumas Mashka. Not only fit, and certainly doesn't transmit. It says Shmuel, no. It doesn't mean it doesn't transmit Tumah, but it itself will become Tummy. Okay, let's see now what do we have. Gufa, Rav Tani, Mashka basement of the Chayy, the butcher area. Levi Tani, Mashka basement mid Bechayah. The what? The Mizbeach. Now, Levi, Haniach is sphere like Shmuel. Bishlam, guys, he holds like Shmuel that what? That it can be Tameh itself, but not transmit. The Amar Dochin Milatama Tumas Acherim. It's taught from Milatama other Tumah. Aval Tumas Atzman Yesh Lehem. Mishkachas. Now you'll find, what did Chagai do? Guys, what did Chagai do? He checked them out with Yayin and Shemen. L'chayra is Shemen Tameh or Tahar. So he could say, according to Levi, if Levi holds like Rav, that meaning there's no Tumah at all by Shemen, then what did Chagai do? They didn't blow it. Because what did Chagai do? He went ahead, he took a sheretz, touched it to bread, touched it to Yayin, touched it to Shemen. Good? Says the Gehanim, it's Tahar. Says the Gemara, they blew it. According to Levi, did they blow it? 1 second. It's oil. It's oil, right? They didn't blow it. Oil what? Can't get tummy. It can't get tummy according to Rav. According to Shmuel, it could get tummy, but it could make other things tummy. So now, however, but the yayin, the shemen will be able to transmit. So therefore, here's what he did. He took a sheretz. This is what Sruli was saying. He took a sheretz and he touched the bread. He took a sheretz, made a rishon. He took a sheretz, he touched the yayin, made a rishon. He took a sheretz. Why? Because he can't transmit tummy. It couldn't be part of a line. It had to be a receptacle. It could be tummy, but it can't transmit. So very good shmak. That's what the Gemara is saying right now. So Isri like Shmuel dam v'dachim v'tamei tumas acherim aval tumas atzma yesh lehem mishkachas lo. You find the praba of Chagai did nogay kula b'rishon. Each one of them touched the sheretz. Ela savala. Again, each one of them touched the meaning the rishon, the first thing, the lechem. Ela savala kirav. The amar dachin mamish. If you're going to say the shemen is pure and meaning it's not makabel tama, heichi mishkachas la. How do you find what the case? The whole case of Levi doesn't begin because there's no transmission of the shemen. It says Malkachat Kishmuel Svilek. You're right. Levi must hold like Shmuel. He can't hold like Rav. Uli Shmuel, who says they didn't blow it. Guys, how do we say that in Shmuel? He checked them on a chamishi, correct? According to Shmuel, he checked them on a chamishi, but he didn't blow it. Good. Hanichi Savla Kirav. Very good. If he holds like Rav the Tani Mashka basement Bechaya. If he holds the Mashkin Wad of the mashkin of the butcher place. So therefore, it's possible, guys. We transmitted it, right? But you got 5 levels. Yeah, Shemen's in there, right? So if you're going to tell me he holds like what, like Rav, then it makes sense because Shemen can be a transmission of Tumah. Aval mashka basement v'chaya, right? Achrina nami mitama revi hudlo yavet chamishi hashlishi of revi. Guys, let's go through it. According to, let's say, follow along. Look at me. Let's go to the test of Chagai. Let's go down the line. You got what? Shmuel's a chamishi, right? So you have what? A mace. The mace touches lechem. So the lechem now is what? An av. The lechem touches what? The zid. That's now rishon. The rishon touches what? No, lechem we did already. The lechem was the av. Then the zid was a rishon. The yayin was what? and the shemen was a revi, and then he has one more. Now, 1 second. How is shemen, according to Levi, part of this process? He holds everything, even if the mizbeach is tahar. So what was Chaggai's test? So forget about going from a 4 to a 5. Even a 3 to a 4, you're stuck, right? It's also tahar. Even a 3 to 4 to tahar, because once Yayin got involved, once Shemen got involved, then you can't transmit it. So obviously, it must be that what?
Why wouldn't that be
What?
Why wouldn't that be?
No, it must be what? What?
Pay attention.
Okay.
Calm down.
Yeah. So now it must be that he holds like Shmuel must be he holds like Rav, that in fact it could transmit tumah. That because the tumas of the basement bechaya that doesn't transmit, of the butcher shop, but of the mizbeach it does, and therefore Yayin's part of the mizbeach, and you would have the process. The process will be complete. So what we just did now is we just took the machlokes between Rav and Levi, and we showed that Levi al Korchach must hold like Rav in the Shmuel in the other machlokes, and Shmuel must hold like Rav in this machlokes. That's what we did. One more time. Shmuel, according to Shmuel, guys, who did not mistake, meaning, and they were checking on a chamishi. He was checking on a chamishi. They didn't make a mistake. It's possible, guys. Listen to what I'm learning. It's possible to have shemen as a transmitter of tumah. The tani mashka basement bechaya, because he says only the butcher shop is tahar, but the mizbeach not. Avol mashke base midbechaya achrina nami mitama. Right. Another one it could be mitama. Then revi hu d'loy avid chamishi. Then a revi cannot make a chamishi. Hashlishi avid revi, but a shlishi could make a revi. But a shlishi could make a revi because it transmits tumah. El isa v'lakalevi the tana mashka bes b'chaya. Ma'ir revi d'loy avid chamishi. Afilu sheni b'shlishi nami loy avdi. Even a sheni shlishi it can't mean because the what? It can't transmit tumah because Levi says the what? You go after the mizbeach. One of the liquids on the mizbeach was shemen, and it wouldn't work. So therefore, it must be that Shmuel holds like Rav regarding the halacha of tumis based mitbechaya, not mitbechaya. Okay, so that's okay. Al kocha karavs really. Tiny kavasi the Rav that the machlokes is by tumis based mitbechaya, the butcher shop. Tiny kavasi the Levi that it's by the mizbeach. Tiny kavasi the Levi that it's by the mizbeach. Hadam, the hayayin, the hashemen, the hamayim, mashka based midbechaya. There you got it. There's your right, guys, right? Shenitmu bifnim vaytzion lechutz. They received tumah inside, and you took them outside. Again, we said that you must hold like what? You must hold like Shmuel, and therefore you know for sure that they can be makabel tumah. They just can't transmit tumah. So they were makabel tumah inside vaytzion lechutz to hirin. The Torah from being matama other things. If they contracted tumah outside the Beis Hamikdash, where it wasn't tumah space mitbechaya, it's outside it, right? Tameim the tamei. No, good. So there's your raya, guys. There's your raya. You see that inside they're tahar. Inni is it really so? We're just questioning. Inni is it really so? V'hamar of Yehuda ben Levi says Yehuda ben Levi mashke beis mitbechaya, the mashke from the mizbeach like omer dochin alabim koma. You only said that they're pure only in their place if they contract tumah by the mizbeach. My love lemute nitmu b'fnim by tzion lechutz. That once you get them outside, they receive tumah. Like lemute nitmu b'chutz b'fnim b'fnim. It excludes that they will kabel tumah outside, not in its place, and brought inside. Shredigmar v'habim kom kamar mashma in its place, and you took it out. No hachi kamar. V'yomru dochin ela shenitmu b'mkomo. They only said pure if they receive tumah in their place. So we have a brisa that's a raya to Rav. The raya to Levi. It says tumas space mitbechaya. Tiny kabasi the Rav that is speaking about the butcher place. Hadam v'amayin. There's your raya. Mashka beis mitbechaya. Shenitmu bein b'kelim bein b'karka. Doesn't make a difference whether it's in the ground. It doesn't make a difference if it's in a kli. Tahorin they are tahar. Amid beis. Okay. Shimon says the kalim tameim b'karka tahorin. Now, I'd like to take us back a little bit to meet Shimon on Daf Tesvav Amid Aleph. Tesvav Amid Aleph. Make it Tezayin Amid Aleph. Top line. Suffolk mashkin l'tamei, tamei. A suffix whether the mashkin received tuma from a person that was tamei, suffix the rice is tamei. The tamei acherim, suffix whether the mayim that was tamei, whether it touched something else is tahar. The Rebbe, because he holds the mashkin, is the rabbanon. The Chenoi Rebbe Lazar Oimer Kidvarav. Rabbi Yehuda says l'chol tamei, across the board the tamei. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Shimon Oimrim la'oichlin tamein l'kelim tahirim. Rabbi Shimon says for food they are tamei, and this is the raisa. L'kelim they are tahar. So this is the Rabbi Shimon we're speaking about right now. This is Rabbi Shimon back to us. Shimon Oimer b'kelim tameim, in kelim they would be tamei, right? And b'karka tahirim, but by karka they would be what? They would be tahar. Let's see Rashi here. Shimon Oimer b'kelim tameim. Shimon l'tamei the Amar la'el tumis mashkin deraisa. Tumis mashkin is deraisa. Vafilu l'tam acherim, even to be mitam other things. Kitanya gavi suffik mashkin l'tam acherim, and then Omer Aleph. Shimon Oimer ba'oichlin tamei hilkach mashkin basement b'chaya la'imotzi rabbon l'tarinu. Therefore, the mashkin, the basement b'chaya, since it's deraisa, they couldn't take off the tumah. Okay, so therefore, Shimon says b'kelim tamei and b'karka l'chayrim. And the question is, why is it tahar b'karka? We'll see later on in Be'ez Hashem. Amra Papa says our Papa. I feel the man the Omar Tumis Mashkin the Raisa Mashkin basement Bechaya. Even if the man the Omar that says Tumah basement is the Raisa, Rav Shimon, the Rav Yosi, they hold the Mashkin in the butcher shop. Halach Hilchas Gemirla. It's Halach Mishmisinai that it's Tahar. Amalei Rav Huna Brei Rav Nasin Rav Papa. You're telling me it's Halach Mishmisinai. Al Hodam Rav Lazar, like we just saw on the Man Aleph. Ain't Tumis the Mashkin Cholikor. It's not tamei at all. Teda Sharihei Yosi ben Yueza Ish Tzreida Al Mashka basement Bechaya Dachin. Now, in other words, we're learning from Thomas. We're learning, guys, from Mashka basement Bechaya to all over. Guys, we're learning the Mashka basement Bechaya. We're extending it all over. Just like the Mashka basement Bechaya is not tamei, so to all Tuma so to all Mashkins not tamei. 1 second. If it's Allah Chamash Misinai, how could you learn it to other places? Allah Chamash means it's limited to that. So Fred the Gemara. How can if it's Allah Chamash like our Papa said, how could you learn all liquids from that? If it's Allah Chamash it means it's unique to that. So I'm going to Ravashi for Rav Shimon the Omar Tumas Mashkin deraisa. Rav Shimon says Tumas Mashkin is deraisa. Tanya Rav Yosi Rav Shimon Oimrim, as we just saw, Lekelim Tahirim Loichlin Tameim. V'Hacha Kamar Shimon b'Kelim Tameim b'Karka Tahirim. The Hilchasahi Mali b'Kelim Mali b'Karka. If you're telling me that Tumas basement b'Chaya is Allah Chamash Misinai, where does Rav Shimon who says it is Tamei? How does he make the distinction between the not in the ground and in the ground? So kasha is taka kasha, and therefore a pup is wrong. Therefore, with the Gemara, Rashi learns the papa is not Allah Chamash Misinai; it's a limud. Therefore, where he may make a gezerah, he can make a gezerah. Tumas basement b'Chaya, you can make a gezerah, he makes a gezerah. Amra papa. Only water. If it's blood, loy. If it's blood in the ground, you're not. Only revius. The chazi lahatval ba machtin b'tzinoris. That chazi to go ahead and be toivel machtin b'tzinoris. Avaloy have revius tameya. Midaraisa fellas, a mikvah, a revius of water is a mikvah, because you could take a needle or a goldsmith's fork that they spun gold with. You could put it in there. We're going to that it's not that you need more for a person's memsa, but midaraisa it's considered a mikvah. Memela, therefore, if it's in the karka, the water, it's tahar because it has a din like a mikvah. Mashen came in the ground. In the ground, Mashen came outside. Now, going back over that Bryce that we said previously, Rabbi Yehuda says it's totally tamei. Mashkin l'chol tamei, whether it's itself or to be metama others, it's tamei. That's mashmitz deraisa. Amama, Rabbi Yehuda Omer l'chol tamei. Remember, you mean to say the Sover Rabbi Yehuda Tumas Mashkin l'tamei Tumas Kelim deraisa. You hear this, guys? L'chol, meaning even to be metama kelim, even kelim, a mashka, even kelim. We paskin that what the only thing that can be metama kli is an avatuma. So if a mashka was an avatuma, it could be metama kli. A huge chiddush, right? Again, you do have mashkins that are of a satuma, the mashkin of a zav. The mashkin of a zav, right? So the Sover of Yehuda, Tumas Mashkin, the Tumas Kelim deraisa. It's deraisa, And how do we know that it's the Raisa? Since the Suffolk guys in the case before, he paskin that it's tummy. In the case that I showed you above, Suffolk mashkin l'tamei is tamei. Everyone holds that. It's the Raisa. L'tamei acherim says Rabbi Yehuda is tamei. Now, what does that mean? You had a stick, you had a mashkin on the stick that was tamei, and you're mesupik whether it touched something else. That something else will be tamei. So what do you see? It must be Suffolk the Raisa, because it was the Rabbanon we say tahar. So we have a raya from there that Rabbi Yehuda holds that Suffolk tum is the Raisa by the fact that he passed in the Suffolk on the mashkin to touch something else. That's his raya. Afraid the Gemara on that, but Tanan, this is a Mishnah, but I think they're quoting a Bryce from Kalim. Kola Kalim sheish lehem achorim v'toich, any kli that has. I'm going to learn the following. You ever have a becha that has on top, and then on the bottom you have underneath, you got a little sub becha. It's like it has a hollow area, right? In other words, so there's the inside, the top, and then there's the bottom, the outside, the achurayim. Most people learn that it's a kli that there's an outside and an inside, but every kli has an outside or an inside. So I don't know the pshat in that, but again, if this will work for me, so I'm using this pshat. You have a becha, and the bottom of the becha has a little sub becha. If you invert it, it's still a little place to pour some liquid in. The base, no, it's not even a cone. You have a base. You turn it over, it's hollow. So you have like a little sub. So therefore, here's the din. Watch this. They have an outside, v'toich, and an inside. Toich is the normal receptacle area. Kigoyin, and he gives examples. Akorim v'kisasais, pillows and mattresses. You turn them over. Sakin v'matzufim, the sackcloth bags. The matzufim are cargo bags, leather bags. Nitma soichai, if the inside's tamei, nitma gaboy, then the outside's tamei. Nitma gaboy, if the outside's tamei, loy nitma soichai. So in our case, if the tamei was in the main part of the becha, then the whole becha would be tamei, even the bottom. But if you invert the becha and the tamei is at the bottom part, then the inside would be tar. So now, that's what's kasha. Amar Rav Yehuda, says Rav Yehuda on that. When is that? Shenitnu machmas mashkin. Then we have a chilik between inside and outside because the transmission of the tumah is through a mashkin. Aval nitma machmas sheretz. If the sheretz is the source of tumah, nitma soichay, nitma gabay, nitma soichay. But so now Rav Yehuda now is making a chilik between the transmitter of tumah. When do we say that if it's in the inside's tamei, the outside's tamei? That's by what? That's by a mashkin. And if the outside is tahar tamei, then the inside is tahar. That's a mashkin. But a sheretz will make a difference. Now, guys, why did Rabbi Yehuda say? Rabbi Yehuda said that tumis mashkin is the raisa, correct? So if he holds tumis mashkin is the raisa, why would the chilik be in between a sheretz and the mashka? It should be no chilik. And if you're going to say he holds tumis kalim, tumis mashka, kalim is the raisa. Mali nitma machmas mashkin. What's the difference if it comes tummy through a mashkin? Mali nitma machmas sheretz. In both cases, the transmitter is a viable abatoma. So why would he make the skillet? Rav Yehuda Mishmuel chaza bei Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda has charata. In other words, you're right. Einachinami. That tumis mashkin to mitama kalim is only the rabbanon. Since it's only the rabbanon, if you mitama the outside, it's not mitama the inside. Okay. No, it's just it's yeah. I mean, it's just yeah. It's
the whole thing with the sheretz is
yeah.
Right?
The sheretz not exera.
It's rabbanon that a sheretz gets the inside and the outside of the kili, right? It's rabbanon.
No, sheretz is the raisa.
The inside and the outside.
Yeah, look, as long as it's not a kli sheretz. I'm not speaking about a kli sheretz.
Yeah, I thought the rabbanon is the inside.
No.
If it touches the outside of the kili, then the whole thing.
On a regular kli, not regular kli is tamei. Only kli sheretz you could eat inside. Yeah, now. Somebody view them Shmuel Chaza by Rabbi Yehuda. Ravina Malolim Loichada. He didn't change his mind. Habim Mashkin Aboy Machmas Yadayim. Habim Mashkin Aboy Machmas Sheretz. Okay, now I can take a liquid and I can call it tamei, but there's a difference how it became tamei. If I have a sheretz and it touches the liquid, everyone would hold it's a rishon. It's a rishon. Everyone holds it's a rishon. There's another type of tumah. That's what Chaim Lax brought up yesterday, is you have something that's wet and your hands touch it. Your hands at the tummy is a gezeira derabanan Masechta Shabbos. Your hands are of sheni. Now, if you touch water, you would expect the water to become a shlishi. It doesn't. They up it one. It goes from a sheni to a rishon. Why? Because of the mashka of a sheretz. Because of that gezeira itself. Since we find water that's a rishon, if a sheretz touches it, even if anything that touches the water, the goyza water of Yadayim, but the water of a sheretz. And the water of a sheretz is what it is, a rishon. So the water of your hands, that should be a shlishi, but it's all the rabbanon, because the hands are the rabbanon, they up it to that. So now, if the water of a sheretz touches the outside or the inside, it doesn't make a difference. If the water of a sheretz, in other words, the water is a rishon either way. But how did it become a rishon? Did it become a rishon from a deraisa tika sauce, or did it come from a derabbanan tika sauce? So that Rabbi Yehuda said that's tamei, that's when it's from a sheretz. That he said it's tar inside outside is from Yadayim. That's what Ravina wants to give a teretz. Not that Rabbi Yehuda had charata, but there's a difference the way that the tumah was transmitted. Says the Gemara. One second, I'm not buying that. Ihachi. If you're telling me that Rabbi Yehuda makes a distinction between water, the mashkin that received it through a sheretz, or received it through a yadayim, through your hands, right? Adatani b'medavam amurim. When you made a distinction above the brisa, shenit machmas mashkin, right? It came tami machmas mashkin. Liflig v'lifnei b'dida b'medavam amurim b'mashkin above machmas yadayim. Avu mashkin above machmas sheretz. Nit mesaycha, nit megabe, nit megabe, nit mesaycha. Guys, look above. Look above the brisa. Rav Yehuda. Says Rav Yehuda, when do we say there's a difference? It becomes coming from a mashkin. He had to jump to a sheretz to create tumah inside outside. We have a big rule in Shas. If you can tell me a chiddush, right? If you don't have to come to a new case, but you can tell me through the same chiddush, then why are you telling me something else? So it's mashma. The only way you can create tumah from the outside is with the sheretz itself. Why did he do that? If Ravina was correct, you could create a tumah with the water touched by a sheretz. So I could stay within the mashkin family and still make the distinction between inside and outside. If it's touched by water that was touched by Yadayim, then if you touched on the outside, it's Torah on the inside. On the other hand, if it's touched by water that was touched by a sheretz, it would be coming from the outside. When we don't make that chilik, we have to come onto a sheretz itself to make that chilik. It must be that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold that way. Therefore, it must be that Rabbi Yehuda taka had charata. The says, it's correct. Rabbi Yehuda had charata.
Yes, thank you.